Welcome to S.P.A.N News with ShShT Talk. This is your source of regular news on things that are paranormal, supernatural, aliens, anomalies, and other things. My name is Beth. I'm your host for S.P.A.N News, and today we have two mega stories. The first involves a ghost train, and the second involves ghosts who do things that maybe aren't safe for work, a little NSFW. So there's a little bit of an advisory for this video that there is some sexualized content. So if you're under the age where that's appropriate, stop watching. And if you have any triggers, keep that in mind. We'll put a trigger warning up before any of that comes up. Stay tuned and check out our cool new intro. Who doesn't like an amazing train disappearance? And let's be honest, a train is a massive piece of metal and machinery with a huge volume and a huge weight. So making something like a train disappear is extremely difficult and extremely rare. And there was a story about it in 2015, which turned out to be satire. But I don't think that's the same thing as what we're about to show you. And this is new footage. It comes from a trail cam, and a Canadian had set it up on a trail. This person also alleges that they checked the train schedule, and guess what? No train was scheduled on that day. So we're going to take a look at the actual footage, and I welcome you guys to take a look at a couple of things and see if you can track them, because maybe some of you can become investigators and chase this train down. But see if you can peg any of the numbers on the train cars that go by, and also do some digging and see if there's any other related stories other than the 2015 story, because that was actually just a satirical story to criticize Canadian rail companies. So that one's entirely separate, and I'll show you a picture of that later. But this story has some genuine, noteworthy markers that make it different. First off, it's a trail cam in a fixed position. Second of all, there's a story to it, and that includes a previous derailment. Third, after the train disappears, and I'll show you guys the footage, you're actually going to see something fall sort of in the center of the screen. And I can't quite make out what it is, if it's something that came off the top of the train or off a tree branch itself. Boom, it's gone. Where did it go? I don't know. Let's watch it again. See if you can pick out anything distinctive. Branches moving, anything like that. I mean, it does look like it just fades away. But in slow motion here, right in the center, watch what happens after it disappears. See that thing fall? And also there's just the slightest movement in the tree branches, just kind of like on a spring day or on a windy day. I mean, there's no foliage, so it makes it a little trickier to see movement. Let's watch it one more time. And it's gone. Now this guy was interviewed, and he did indicate that he thought there's something definitely going on, and the internet's gone crazy. Some people think that it's a ghost train. Other people think that perhaps the whole thing was teleported. And of course there's skeptics as well. So I want to leave this footage with you guys and see what you can find. To me, the most interesting detail, besides the person who set up the camera and said there was no scheduled train that day, that's really interesting. But the second part is whatever fell from either on top of the train or on the tree just above the train. There was a motion that dropped, and you can rewind our video and let us know. Here's the thing, at ShShT Talk, we love ShShT Talkers, and you could join our information squad by becoming a ShShT Talker. You've just got to email us at shshttalk@gmail.com and join our squad. And we want you to investigate this train incident, because there's clearly a lot going on. And I promised you that I would post some photos from a different train incident, which turned out simply to be satire, and here it is. CBC Radio in Canada did a story. It was published in the news in 2016, but they did the audio version of it in 2015. And on YouTube, you can actually find many people who captured their whole article and then reposted it to a video to make it sound like it wasn't satire. But the incident from 2015 and 16, which involved 47 car train, is satire, and it was used to criticize something going on with Canadian Rail. But that's not what this event is. The event that we've shown you is an entirely separate train event. So when you're doing your digging, make sure to kind of check the dates, and hopefully that'll help you filter out some of the misinformation out there. But this event is different. It involves footage, it involves a backstory, a different location. The only similarity is the country of Canada. And of course, anybody who wants to become a Shed Show talker, this is a great place to start. I receive a lot of disclosure stories, and many of them do involve the nighttime. And there's a particular topic, and frankly, I don't know how to bring it up, that keeps it safe for the family. So if you've got somebody that might be sensitive, a little bit of a trigger warning, this would not be the topic for them. Some people have alleged that they've had intercourse with spirits, ghosts, or something unseen. And some people love it, and some people hate it. And in some of these stories, it ties to an abduction experience, and in other cases, it's simply a phenomena, and nobody knows what's going on. But I found several stories amongst celebrities, and so I'm going to bring those up because I think that's probably the best way to describe them. And first up, we have this lady here. Her name's Natasha Blasek, and she is known for a few different shows. You might have seen her main one. Let's see, what was it? Paranormal Activity 2. And she had told the UK's morning show, the New York Daily News as well reported on it, that she actually had an encounter that was so real it was physical. And she said she could feel someone touching her, and that she could feel hands, and they were pushing her against her will. She felt the weight of a body on top of her, but she couldn't see anyone. She could feel the pressure, the energy, and the warmth. And she noticed these sensations in multiple places on her body. And that's as graphic as I'm going to get with it. But she said that it wasn't terrifying to her. She actually described it as pleasurable. And this entity returned to her in a month. And there's quite a culture of stories about this. And I'm going to pull up a few more. But check out this story by a bunch of athletes. They're from the UK, and they're on a reality TV show. And the Paralympian on the left, her name's Ms. Cox, C-O-X, no pun intended. She's a 25-year-old Paralympian, and her first name's Kadina. My apologies, I didn't have it right in front of me at that time. But Kadina had said that she had an experience while on tour that an entity came and visited her. And she believed it was a ghost, and that it was a very physical interaction. Again, I won't go into huge details in this video because we don't have any age limits on it. But she could actually feel the ghost passing through her. And she thought maybe she wished it was a person. She felt the ghost move in and outside of her physical body. So that's definitely an encounter. She ended up moving to another floor, as did the other skier you see here. He got freaked out by the story. He said he was scared, and so he actually requested another floor. And then we have Kesha, a very well-known singer around the world, and here you have her with her all-seeing eye on her hand. But that has nothing to do with her story. She had indicated that she had a romp with a male ghost, and that the result of that interaction was the song Supernatural. Many of you have heard that on the radio. If not, have a listen to it, because her experience was very sexual, and she doesn't know the ghost's name. Now, some people and some experts, including a guy called Eric Olson, who co-hosts America's Most Haunted, talk about these encounters. And I'll get into that in a little bit, because I've heard exorcists and deliverance ministers also refer to those experiences. I have spoken with many exorcists and deliverance ministers, and they will tell you about incubus spirits. And this is something that is basically a dominant male persona sexual spirit. And information about the incubus goes way back. You can see it in architecture in the Middle Ages. You can also see it in paintings and other things. And exorcists are very well acquainted with the topic of incubus. And I'm not referring to the band Incubus, who has the name. They're completely separate than what we're talking about. But incubus is known to be a nefarious spirit, not an alien and not a ghost, but a spirit. And it is seen to prey on people and have sexual relations with them. So it's not just the celebrities who are talking about this. And actually, next up, listen to Bobby Brown. He's going to describe his experience. Now, in this particular interview, he does not state whether or not it was a gendered spirit that interacted with him, but in another location, he did describe it as male. Have a listen to what he says.
I can't even believe I'm going to ask you this, but I have to.
What?
You had sex with a ghost?
A ghost, yeah.
Come on, man. Tell me about it.
I moved into this house. I bought this mansion in Georgia. So this was a really, really spooky place. But yes, one time I woke up and yeah, a ghost. I was being mounted by a ghost. I was not tripping.
You've had quite a life.
I've had some crazy situations.
So there you have Mr. Bobby Brown talking about being mounted by a ghost. In another interview, he actually mentioned that it was a male ghost. And that is tying to what I want to mention next. And I'm sure some of you know about the tales of Incubus and Succubus. And when I've spoken with various exorcists and deliverance ministers, they actually talk about doing deliverance for people from Incubus and Succubus spirits. Because as the one celebrity mentioned, it was against her will. She didn't mind because there was pleasure associated to it, but that's not often the case. And you can see from this old painting that Incubus has been around for a long time, so it's not a new concept. But I noticed as I was reading disclosure stories, and as other people have told me their disclosure stories, that there can be a mixture of this physical and ethereal component. So just because something's supernatural or paranormal doesn't mean it cannot interact with the physical. And this is something when people talk about proof of aliens or proof of the supernatural, proof of other things, I keep wondering, have they not heard any of these stories? Because you have this international experience with incubus type entities, and that these entities are physically interacting with people. So if it's not physical, what on earth is going on? Now, you can send us some comments and let us know what you think. Please keep it somewhat family friendly so that we can be cognizant of any of our young viewers. But this is a subject that can come up in folklore and in various books or literature. And the topic of incubus definitely goes way out there. And again, it all started simply because of this story by celebrities like Bobby Brown, like Kesha, like Natasha, and like Kadena. These are 3 different stories in addition to Bobby Brown's that describe what some would say are a ghost, which is paranormal. Others would say is a spirit, which would be the supernatural. In either case, there's no explanation for it. There is a historical documentation that these are quite likely incubus or other entities. But I also know from some disclosure stories that I've received from people, they have described these kind of physical encounters, and it was part of a negative abduction experience, which they attribute to aliens. So now we have 3 possibilities. We have ghosts, spirits, and aliens. What do you guys think? I mean, what do you think is going on with these celebrities? Just look at their photos. Obviously, they're young and they're healthy. That could be part of it. Bobby Brown, I don't know what age he was when he had the encounter. But these are just some of the well-documented stories simply because they're celebrities and somebody's willing to ask the question. And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm okay putting it into a video, because this information is publicly available. It's in newsprint, morning shows, and other things. So, but it leads us to the next question. The next question is, what on earth do you do if you're having one of these encounters? Do you have physical ability to overcome whatever's pursuing you? Do you have to use a spiritual tactic? Do you need some kind of paranormal tactic? And furthermore, if it's a traumatic event, where do you go to unpack that and get some healing to your heart and to your mind and perhaps even to your body? And who can you tell? We know if anybody's had a paranormal, supernatural, or alien experience, that disclosing that to people can be really, really hard, because there is a stigma that some people carry. But you might be surprised. There are safe people out there that you can disclose things to. And it's important for any disclosure that you feel safe and that you feel believed. And myself, Beth, and Paul at ShShT Talk, we do believe people, and we do hope to create an environment of trust. And I want to thank you guys for sharing your stories. We get stories sent to our inbox and different things that we will be doing disclosure reports on. And actually this Thursday for my video, I'm going to be doing a disclosure report from viewers like you. And so thank you for that. But in regards to the whole topic about incubus, about ghosts, even about ghost trains, it really relies on the conversation between you, the viewer, and us. And I like putting out these videos, and it really helps us out when people comment, they subscribe, they like, or, you know, especially if you guys share it to your different social medias, that goes a long way in YouTube telling the world about our videos. So YouTube's waiting to see how much interaction we get from our people, from our subscribers. So thank you for those of you who are doing that. We are going to feature some of you in a spotlight coming up. So wait to hear from us. Anyhow, I'm Beth with ShShT Talk. I can't wait to do more videos. And we did read your comments about audio issues, and we need new equipment is what it comes down to. So that's something Paul and I are working towards. Hopefully as our channel grows, we can get some new stuff. Remember to stay safe out there. And if you see anything, shoot, share, tell us at ShShT Talk. Use the hashtag ShShT. And I'm Beth signing off for S.P.A.N News with ShShT Talk.